So today has been quite an interesting day in MMA news. Apparently, Renier de Ritter could be facing Robert Whitaker next. Um, couple other fights being rumored that are, less important. But we got a tweet from Alex Pereira this afternoon that was very interesting, and he sounded very pissed about it. We're gonna go through it, what happened with it, and then I want to talk about when we can see Alex Pereira and what all is going around because you have to think TV rights deal, Alex Pereira being the biggest star, they have to play their chips right with all of these big fights around them. But without further ado, let's get through the article first. Alex Pereira says cryptic tweet indicating tension with UFC was a result of being hacked. A cryptic tweet from Alex Pereira turned heads Wednesday, with the former UFC 2 Division champion says it was the result of his X account being hacked. The tweet was posted Wednesday at 1:54 p.m. Eastern Standard Time suggested there was tension between the UFC and Pereira over an unspecified issue. I've never spoken poorly of the UFC, but with what I just heard, I'm disheartened. I've already had thoughts of not fighting anymore, and after what was just relayed to me, this may be the start. Now, when you wake up, you open Twitter, or you're on your break from work, or whatever you're doing, you're opening up Twitter, and you see this tweet, it scares you because Alex Pereira is one of the only active superstars we have in the UFC right now. And even though he lost to Uncle Ive, he has a really good chance of coming back winning that belt. And then maybe we can talk about the heavyweight run once again if he has a spectacular performance. But within 2 hours, the tweet received almost 2 million views, and a video later posted to Instagram. Pereira said he knew nothing about the ex post and claimed that his account got hacked. We are going to open.
Bom, pessoal, pô, recebi aqui um monte de mensagem da galera falando aqui
Hold up,
que
hold up. I need to make sure. There we go. Put that on, and then we'll just say this. Come on, load.
de mensagem aqui da galera falando aqui do que viu mensagem no meu Twitter e pô, eu nem sabia que tinha sido hackeado porque faz tempo que eu não posto nada, vocês veem aí, mas foi hackeado e eu vou estar resolvendo aqui e pô, eu nem sei o que tá acontecendo aí, tem uma relação muito boa com a UFC sempre e pô, as pessoas gostam de, sei lá, de ver o mal. Então é isso, chama.
Alright, so yeah, but there, basically what he said is he has a great relationship with the UFC, and everything is fine between them. And it's like of all the upcoming big fights we have, I feel Pereira versus Muhammad Clive is the most sure thing we have. We have Sean versus Marab versus Sean too. I don't think that's as big as it was the first time around. But let's see, let me double check. There's nothing important here. All signs have pointed to an immediate rematch happening, or yeah, oh, fuck it, I'll just read it. Pereira 37 has stepped up for the UFC and saved multiple pay-per-views, even on short notice, including headlining the milestone UFC 300 in April 2024. He most recently lost to Muhammad 5 on March 8th. All signs have pointed to an immediate rematch happening perhaps as soon as UFC 317 International Fight Week. I don't think it's going to be Alex Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev. It's been known for a while now that Magomed Ankalaev said August, which again we're used to seeing Pereira every 3 months, but still it's not that long of a wait, and Pereira will still be able to fight at the end of the year if he pleases. But the other part of this is you had to take into account the ESPN deal just ended. They are currently negotiating with all of these broadcasters, Netflix, ESPN, obviously, Paramount, whoever they're still in negotiations with. They want to have the biggest fights available because that drives up the price. Um, if you go in there and you only have uh, John Jones, Tom Aspinall, because they know that's happening in November. Maybe Oliveira versus Saruki in two. Like, we have big fights, but it also goes back to the promotion, right? The most promotion right now is fan driven promotion. Look at Bryce Mitchell versus John Silva. That was probably the biggest fight, the biggest hype fight that wasn't for a title we've had in years, really. Like, whatever happened to, like, actual promotion was like good promotional packages. Yeah, we have embedded, but we used to get interviews, right? Pereira is the exception to that. Pereira, like, obviously, he has developed character. He is a funny guy. Um, he does skits with Nina Drama, the queen of MMA. Uh, okay, okay. I don't want to make an enemy of her yet. Um, but like on one hand, we need Pereira. We need a Pereira fight right now. The biggest fight we have announced is, like I said, Morale versus Sean Duke. And I would argue that Kayla Harrison versus Juliana Pena is a bigger fight on that card. I think it's more entertaining, and I think it means more to the sport. Even though that had this fight would have happened, even after say Sean versus Corey, they did that. Sean O'Malley won that, and they gave him Marab right after. At least we would have a bit of hype for that. Like there's another X factor to that fight to make you think, well, maybe Sean can do it, but on a 1 year layoff, no. With the first fight happening in March, right, right in the middle of Ramadan, all signs were favoring Pereira. But in that fight, Pereira did not look the same. Like Magomed Ankalaev did what he needed to do to win. And even though I find Magomed Ankalaev really boring, he is really effective. He does have really good boxing. He is a decent grappler. He's not good at taking people down at all. He has one of the worst takedown percentages in the history of light heavyweight, I believe. Um, but the UFC needs a face. Like, who is the face of MMA right now? It's between Topuria, potentially, if he wins the lightweight belt, I believe, especially if it's over Islam, that's he would be the face. Islam, I feel, is kind of the face if you were to say we have a current face for UFC right now. But You also have to look at the age, right? With Pereira, how many more fights are you gonna get? You got one confirmed. Maybe they do a trilogy, and then he might move up to heavyweight. Like I don't see him fighting Carlos Ulberg, and I think that he beats Ulberg. Jan Blachowicz, the rematch would have been interesting, I guess, because it's still probably the closest fight that Pereira has had. Um, there's nothing else, right? So I believe the ESPN deal is up. I believe it is up, and we should be getting news on which which broadcasters potentially will be hosting UFC and will have fight nights and pay per views and all, all all the glitz and glamour of the UFC in 2025. But on one hand, it's a shame. On the other hand, I am a big Pereira fan. I'm a fan of people who, you know, one are entertaining when they fight, but two, those that can create legacy defining feats. Even if Alex loses to Uncle Ive the second time, nobody's gonna do what Alex did. Nobody is just gonna walk into the UFC, run through middleweight the way he did, win the belt. Yeah, he got caught in the second Izzy fight. Then he goes up, wins the light heavyweight belt, and then sets the record for fastest of three title defenses. That's what I want to see. Like, I want to see that kind of dominance. I want to see that kind of drive. I don't think many other fighters have that drive. I know Marab said that he wanted to fight in March after fighting in January. He didn't do it. I think part of it is the UFC saving fights. But on the other hand, man, we're supposed to have the best year every year in MMA, right? We got the best fights. The best fights are always yet to come. The biggest card we've had was UFC 314, which was a really good card. But again, man, you look in the years past, we had insane fights all year round. I don't know. I don't know what the root of the problem is, but we'll see. I think that Pereira probably has the best relationship out of any fighter currently active. If I had to guess, um, but yeah, we'll see. We will have to wait for the official announcement, whether that is in August or potentially if he's headlining International Fight Weekend, which again we have no fucking clue what's happening on that card. But let me know in the comments down below. What did you think about Alex Pereira potentially being hacked? Again, we don't know if it's him or not. Uh, but when do you think we will hear uh Pereira fight next? Do you think it could be at International Fight Weekend? It could be. He did it last year. Or do you believe the UFC is kind of saving all their stars, all their big fights for the negotiations? I'm interested to hear what you have to say down below. Thanks for watching. Later.